thank you for doing this. This is brilliant. And I like the idea that you were talking about fear of food. And the reason I'm doing this is that I'm looking at different areas of fear and then combining of the things that you can do and potentially the other areas to support yourself to unravel the fear.
Yeah, it's such an important topic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you find some of your clients? How do they manifest their fear?
So I suppose with my clients, lots of people come to me with years and years of dieting history. So the big things that I hear around fear are like certain foods are bad. So that's kind of one element of things. And then more recently, there's the fear of the ultra processed food, which has become very, very topical. And I think there's also a fear of like making a change as well. So there's a fear outside of just the food itself from a mindset and change perspective. So I guess those would be my three, those are the three biggest things when it comes to fear for my clients. But yeah, shall I go into those in more detail?
Yes, that would be great. Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah, so in terms of like fear of quote unquote bad foods, lots of people will have done things in the past where they have been on a specific type of diet, like let's say for example Atkins, or as it's more commonly known now, keto. They're all the same thing, very, very low carbohydrate. So is for every gram of carbohydrates we store in the body, we store 3 of water. So when you go on a very, very low carbohydrate diet, your body has to burn up all of its stored carbohydrates. So yes, you do lose weight from some body fat through being in a calorie deficit, but you also lose lots of weight from stored carbohydrates, and of course 3 times that in the water weight that is stored with those carbohydrates. So that then makes people think, oh, well, if I cut out carbs, I will lose weight quickly, therefore carbs must be making me gain weight. But actually, when we look a bit deeper into the science, we can see why that's happening. Now, carbs are an absolutely essential part of the diet, especially for people who are active. If we have any swimmers listening, I'm sure that they are very aware how important carbohydrates are. You're just not fueling those sessions in the pool without them. And I think when people have been entrenched in that diet mindset for a really long time, if they've had success with a certain type of diet, then it can end up demonizing the foods that diet cut out, but it's actually potentially just a bit of a piece of education on how they actually work as part of a normal balanced diet. Carbohydrates are so important for our fiber. So that's a big element in terms of bad foods there. Do you have any like experience of that with people that come to you? Are they ever like underfueled?
It's slightly off that the answer is no, not that they've ever told me, but I have people who some of them feel that they're overweight and some are, and so they are very conscious of how they are around other people. And as we both know, exercise can help, but alongside that, it's as you mentioned about mindset. So how do you help your clients change or unravel their mindset?
Yeah, so when it comes to those kind of foods, what I like to do, and this is a huge part of my general coaching ethos, is we have to rebuild trust in ourselves. I think when people have dieted for a long time and they've tried many different plans, and all of those plans have ended inevitably in failure. So yes, you might, do a diet plan for a while, but then you stop and the weight comes back and you feel like a failure. Or you can't stick to the diet plan because it's so restrictive, and then again you feel like a failure. So a lot of the time, by the time people get to me, their confidence is absolutely at rock bottom because they feel like nothing works for them, and therefore there must be something wrong with them. So my whole process is about rebuilding that trust and educating people that actually you can have these foods and there is no such thing as failing. So like, for example, I had a client who has just messaged me earlier today, and she is working on, planning her food in advance. She's somebody who has been really hard on herself in the past, very much perfectionist mindset. And we're really trying to be more flexible and proving to her day by day that she is capable of making choices in the moment. And that whole thing around, like, you can't fail at this, because it is about thinking about what you want for the rest of your life. So there is no end point. And that's a big piece of the puzzle. But she went out for lunch yesterday. She ordered a sandwich and a coffee and shared a cookie with a friend. And then when she put it into her calorie tracking app, she realised, oh, I've blown it, right? And in the past, that would have sent her into a spiral of, well, now I've gone over my calories, I've blown it, so I just might as well continue to eat because, you know, I have not been perfect. And now it's like, oh, oops, okay, that's a learning curve. Next time I go to that sandwich shop, I'll just get the sandwich and a coffee, right? So it's the way to get over the fear is to actually put yourself in those situations where you have to get to the point where you see it's not a failure, it's just a learning curve. You're just human, the same as anybody else. And actually, the only way that these things fail is when you allow yourself to perceive it as a failure. Like, if you decide that that moment is a failure because you ate more calories than you meant to, and you then go on to punish yourself, and then you stop working on those goals, that's the only way you can fail at them. And I think that's a huge piece that's missing in my industry in general, that success is not a number on the scales. Success is not being perfect. Success is not following the plan. Success is actually learning to bounce back when it doesn't go to plan. And that's how I really help people get over that fear.
That's brilliant. As you would, I don't know if this is relevant, but as you were saying, that's what I say to people, because when water, there's part of your brain called the amygdala. You probably know it. It's very small. It's equivalent to 2 almonds, the size of 2 almonds. I sort of think, well, I'll eat it. I'll have a little snack.
30 calories.
Absolutely. So, but it is the water will take you down, and it will hold you there for a while, and then it will lift you back up again. But it's the coming back up, and this part of your brain has kept us alive for millions of years, and you have to thank it. As potentially you thank your client for recognizing that something can be done differently. That it's to say, before you start, is that we're going to go down, but we'll come back up again. And you can use that analogy within your environment, within my environment, in all sorts of environments. But potentially there's an expectation of it's got to be right, and we've got to do it all right the whole time. And you're like, well, good luck with that one. Might as just go into a darkened corner now and just quietly sit there rocking, because we just go, it's not going to work. Yeah. So have you had, well, I'm sure you have, how have you worked with people who have got a very strong, fixed mindset?
So these clients are the most challenging, and they will often, say very fixed mindset things. I can't do it. I'm stuck. This doesn't work for me. The biggest one I get is my metabolism is broken. And
wow.
So that is I think is a really cool thing for us to work on, because when somebody believes, or like they'll say, oh, my cortisol is high, and what they're doing in that moment subconsciously, I believe, is they're outsourcing the responsibility, and they're saying, it doesn't matter what I do, I can't make a change because of these things that are outside of my control. Like, we can't impact our metabolism, we can't necessarily instantly reduce our cortisol and things like that. So I like to try and help people with science. So, for example, metabolism is the speed at which every single cell in your body moves. So
wow.
It is, if you Google human metabolism diagram, like it's the full screen with hundreds and hundreds of processes. I spent my master's studying like one tiny cycle of it. And I am by no means a metabolism expert. Metabolism is so complicated. And by saying it's my metabolism, and I hear this a lot from women in midlife, that we're not taking responsibility. We're not saying, actually, it's the bottle of wine, it's the takeaway, it's scrolling instead of going to sleep, it's not exercising, it's all of those things that, yes, we might not be able to do perfectly, we might not be able to do like when we were in our 20s, but actually most of those things are within our control. And so I always get people to try and work on the basis, do the best that you can in the situation that you're in. So yes, you might work crazy hours, but can you go out for a 10-minute walk at lunchtime? Because if you do that every day, that's nearly an hour of exercise, and it gets you away from your screen. It allows you to get back into rest and reset, But when we're saying, oh, it's my metabolism, there's no point doing 10 minutes a day, we're keeping ourselves stuck in that cycle. And so that fixed mindset, in breaking that down, it's really about opening up the possibility for people and getting them to understand, and really working with them on this, that consistency is better than intensity when intensity won't last. So, it's not about coming to me and overhauling everything and changing every single meal and doing 10,000 steps and going to the gym 4 times a week and sleeping 8 hours like a baby. Like, yeah, amazing if you can do that. But actually, what if we look at what you're doing now, we look at where you want to get to, and we say, right, this week is about changing that one thing. So one client for me this week is just working on adding fruit and vegetables to every single meal. And that's it.
Right.
And it's about, I think there's a huge thing within the health and fitness industry that everything has to be so extreme. It's not like, even now, like people running marathons are like, oh great, but I've done an Ironman. All right, I've done a double Ironman. Like, stop. Obviously, those are massive achievements. And if people can do them and want to do them, I am totally here to cheer you on from the sidelines. I will not be doing that stuff. But I think the pressure from Instagram to have these perfect meals and to have this perfect routine and this, this body type that actually isn't achievable for most people genetically for a start. And also, when we're looking at these people, it's their full-time job. Like, if you're an athlete or you're a model or whatever, like, yes, you can do that because that's what you're getting paid for. Whereas the rest of us are just needing to scale back to what is possible for us within our own little bubbles of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Because you're saying it, what I say to people, there's an expectation that they're going to be in water. And first of all, my remit is that you learn how to be with water. So arguably with your clients, it's to be with themselves. And then once you've started to learn about physiology, then you can start to glide, you can stand up, and then you can start to swim. For me, swimming is the icing on the cake. And maybe for you, it is recognizing who you are for your clients, for who they are, and be best they can be, rather than making the comparison to the outside world. Because as you've said about the Ironman, you go, well done, that's brilliant, excellent stuff. I'm not doing that, have a nice time, move on.
We shouldn't feel the pressure, should we? And I think that's so interesting, because I know when I came to you for swimming lessons, I was like, I want you to teach me how to jump off a boat so I can dive into the ocean on holiday. And you're like, do you want to put your face in the water? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Mixing's a touch tricky, but we'll work on it.
Yeah. So you think you're going to be able to jump off a boat and go under the water, but right now you're telling me you don't want to put your face in the water. And I think that's such like a good analogy of like what people come to me for as well, and probably anything. We have this, I'm like seeing in my mind like the Instagram video of me diving off the boat and it being great, but like I had no idea what it would take to get there. And for the people listening, I actually did not get there. I have not jumped off the boat yet. I need to come back and see you for some more lessons. But you taught me how to do the basics, how to not be scared in the water, how to put my face in. And now when I go on holiday, I climb down the steps on the boat and I swim in the sea. And that was something I was never able to do. And I think it's that adjustment of expectations sometimes.
Yes, the expectation is the word. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And that made it for me. Oh, go on, sorry.
No, you go. Okay.
And that made it for me something that actually has now become a really enjoyable thing, which was it before a fear, which I think can lead back to, what we were saying originally. Like people think they're coming to me to get this perfect diet that will be the one diet that fixes them, that means they never need to do it again. But actually, it's a lifelong process of understanding that, like, I may never jump off the boat and go under the water and dive and look elegant on holiday, right? But maybe I don't actually need that. Maybe just getting in the water and swimming with my friends and my partner on holiday is where I want to be. And that I feel is a really good analogy of someone coming to me and being like, I want like the perfect body, the spot on mindset where nothing ever goes wrong. Well, yeah, you might get it for that one dive off the boat, but you don't need to dive off a boat every day. Like, you just need to get to the point where you're swimming in the water with your friends.
So do you feel that with your clients that you can enable them to actually enjoy food, to actually enjoy being, rather than it being a battlefield, to, okay, this is going to be good?
Yes, and I do that with lots of people, and we get to a point where it's like, okay, I actually see that I can go out and I can have the fancy meal and I can have a few cocktails and wine, and then the next day I reset and I go back to my healthy habits. So the baseline is about building those healthy habits. So what are the breakfasts that work for you, the lunches that work for you, the evening meals that work for you and anyone else that you eat with, or for you just on your own? And then like building that as like a solid baseline, and then teaching people it's okay to deviate from that. That's a terrible word to use, deviate. It makes it sound really dramatic, but it's, you know, like let's say you know the lunches that work for you, but one day you want to go and get noodles with a colleague. Okay, yeah, it's going to be way more calories than you would normally eat, but if it's just one day and you go home and you have your healthy evening meal and you return to that baseline habit structure, you won't regain weight, right? So I think that's the big thing, that it's always about, you can eat anything but not everything. So if you want to make a change, you cannot keep doing what you're doing. You have to find swaps and trades and deals with yourself. So I always say to people, if right now you're finishing work on a Friday and you're ordering a pizza and you're drinking a bottle of wine and you're going for brunch on a Saturday morning, and then you're going for coffee and cake while you're shopping, and you're having another takeaway or going out for dinner on a Saturday night, and you're going for a Sunday roast, right? That is a weight gain plan. And that's okay, right? That is a very nice life, weight gain plan. So another thing that I like to talk about is, what do you want from this week? Is it a loss, a maintain, or a gain? Right, so there'll be weekends where, like I just had a friend visiting, we stayed away in like this beautiful glamping pod for 2 nights, we had lovely Marks and Spencer's food, we went for breakfast, we did a big hike, we came back, we went out for a gorgeous meal, we got up, we had brunch the next day. That for me, even though there was a 10-mile hike in there, is a weight gain weekend, because I don't want to think about how many calories are in this, or are these the right choices for my goals. I want to enjoy and indulge with my friend. But if I was to have that weekend every weekend, then yeah, I'd be on a weight gain trajectory. But I think that the big piece for people is to say, we have to accept the outcome of our choices. If you choose to have a weight gain week after week, don't be sad or surprised when you're gaining weight, right? And that's a hard one for people, because we're so entrenched in this, we should be losing weight a lot of the time, especially the women that I speak to feel like they're always trying to lose weight, but they're not necessarily making the decisions that are leading to that. So they might be overly restricting in the week, and then not being able to maintain it, and then blowing up all weekend. And then actually, if they were to eat more calories Monday to Wednesday, they wouldn't blow up Thursday to Sunday, and their overall calorie intake would actually be lower. And I talk about calories because that is the absolute science, right? You can't gain weight unless you're in a calorie surplus, and you can't lose weight unless you're in a calorie deficit. But many, many factors impact where you are on that scale. And I think that's also a big piece of the puzzle. So yeah, it's really the link between emotion and diet and weight and fixed mindset and fear, all of these things, like all in this big melting pot of why people don't get results. And the more we can try and just unpick that and be like, this is the habit, this is the system, this is the routine, these are the choices, these are the outcomes, pick.
Yeah.
And just trying to like really unravel it for people.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, because it is an unraveling, and it is allowing yourself to, and I'm repeating myself, it's enabling yourself to go with the ebb and flow. So there will be periods of time where you go, yep, this is great. And then something happens, so you go down and you're like, oh, it's not working. And it's in life, and you're thinking, oh, well, I'll give up, or I won't bother. And it's saying to yourself, right, well, wait, allow yourself to wait, and then softly let yourself come back up again.
Yeah, it's a really cool analogy between the two, isn't it? That the going under the water and then not panicking and being like, oh yeah, I came out the other side.
I can come back up again. Yeah, it's about, arguably, there's an element of waiting in your will to assess, and then to very softly come up and because I say about gliding, it's a reset. So if your mind's going too fast and it's not working, because there was a quote that somebody told me, said, well, practice makes perfect. And she came back, depends what you're practicing.
I like that.
So it's allowing yourself to, okay, not working, glide, pause, stand up. Now let's begin again. Let's look at it in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So where can people get hold of you, please?
So they can find me at the handle Next Level Nutrition Coach, and that is across all social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Substack. I think that's all 5. Yeah, that's where you can find me. And yeah, if anybody has any questions or, wants to pick apart any of my arguments, come. I am always up for a chat and a debate about things. But yeah, that's where you can find me, Next Level Nutrition Coach.
Thank you so much, Angela. Absolute pleasure. It's lovely to see that things interlink. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Sean.